me now and again. Cosmogony. We begin with a ceremony, as is appropriate, cross fingers and hearts and murmur arcane prophecies, prayers over the dusty carapaces of cockroaches scuttling under the refrigerator. Exhausted from interminable flight, the blackbirds hang plastered against yellow, anxiously looking on. In my dreams, the old man whispers, the lighthouse looms, mirrored bronze and sandstone in a field that is an ocean of reeds and shivering grass, a wearisome obelisk, 13 steps to the top, and also 600 and 1,000. I can climb an hour only to be nearer the ground than before. Look out, little one. We are steps into the labyrinth. Beware the crow's eyes. See how the murder perches on the sepulchral walls. Don't be swayed by that vacillating cacophony, how those whistles and tongues wiggle through your holes in your chest. Trust your suspicions, boy. I knew a girl once, I reply. She of wax paper and ichor. My heart ached for her. She had a bundle of tiny stones in her palm and counted them. She found the one she liked best, put it between her teeth, and ground it to dust. She took me in her fingers, and this mortal cage was fissured. Don't doubt me, my friend, not like the forked tines. What came next, he begs. The deluge, I say, breathless. Something primordial and alchemical. I discovered the alembic and wherein all things brew. Do you believe I was iron once? These fingers were ingots. Now they are roots, twigs, they bud. Outside the frail door, the minotaur paces and pants, and he breathes sulfur. How long can thin panels curb exegesis? Through the window, day wilts. I see for the first time that the old man's eyes are blind and brighter than bonfires. Over the table between us, we take hands, knot our fingers, and revolve. This poem is called Paper and Iron. Sitting across from the window, the fifth car of the metro, I found myself caught in the biography etched around the edge of the clear plastic. An account of the wars between men, of love between souls that ebullient overflowed, the font wherefrom my fluids and particles proliferated. I realized whoever carved the letters knew me better than a lover, knew I was captured at an angle within the glyphs, reflected back again and again so that my infinite lips touched the edge of my infinite ear. I whispered platitudes about the oblique imaginary cosmos arrested in my mind's eye, paths to which could only be charted in the stars by a man like Vespucci, who never saw what the new world to which he dedicated his life would become. He sought fulfillment in letters inked on pages, esoteric maps lit by a guttering candle. The rails shuddered, and I realized I could see the lines of his face past the letters drawn on the twilight of the silhouette cityscape. Oh, how this pale countenance becomes you and I, brothers bound by an ocean, a city of paper and iron. I'll just skip to this one. This is called 7 Days of Puerto Rico, and it's a haibun, which is generally speaking, it is a poem that alternates unformed stanzas with haiku. And it involves some Spanish, and my Spanish isn't very good, so probably don't trust that it's real Spanish. 7 Days of Puerto Rico. The old man waves 2 fingers past me at that tiny vent of airplane window. Viejo San Juan, you see? Is your first time? Look there, El Moro. There, Isla Verde. He laughs, close enough to taste his cologne. Italian, his cheeks Peruvian. And all I see are blotchy greens and blues, faded pales, and city streets someone told me weren't paved with pure gold. Monsoon streets. Humidity fingers my esophagus. These streets are tight, and we are all bottled claustrophobic. There, those cars are kissing. On the smooth slabs, rain slick, we and the tires and the sizzling bronze statues slip and slip. I'm born suburban. These city roads are polluting me, but something in the air still lisps ambrosia. Rainy season. Gray bricks reflect my pale soles. Last night, after the torrent, I watched 2 silhouettes broom away at the casa roof across La Calle del Quiejo. A river of mirrored stars 3 stories below. Against that glitterscape of city we are all shapes, shoulders slumping and loose-cheeked. The wind hums at the lip of the open bottle of Merlot, the candle flickers. Tropic stars veil morning bud, sleepy eyes. Breakfast. Oatmeal biscuits, baguette with fresh buttercream, banana, and papaya. Always papaya. The green skin papaya like all true greens. Not the ocean, not the leafy mangrove, but the simple silence of papaya. Green flesh beneath, sticky seed, entanglements. At camp, when I was young, I swam like a fish and collected oysters and clamshells, as chalk as I was once, save for the sun, in his glory cooking me a healthy crust, a shell of matted copper. I expected a redness from this Caribbean orb, some sign of his attention. The particulate wisps of gray prefer me. Summer's pearl, trade winds, oyster skin seasoned. At the Mallorca, the servers still have shoe-polished hair, mustaches, and in the panorama across the walls, I expect Buicks like my grandfather had, and I see something of the same twinkle in our waiter's eyes, under that cut of gray on his brow. And you can tell from the way the other patrons cup the coffee to their mouths that these are holy men. These mornings are communions, life-saving after salsa nights, piles of medallia caps. Old priests share good words, fresh tamarind pits. The idea of paradise is in the mountains and the valleys, one half a jungle, the other a desert, and below each brackish rivers trickle, and above each cities loom. Could you think to cherish the gunshot echoes of La Perla? All I know is that it's good to have friends, and it's good to teeter on the edge of things. In the plaza down Calle de la Cruz, an apple tree is growing, and I sampled the fruit early this morning. The calendar is peeling off the wall from the damp, and I can hear the weight of the airplane over my head. Sundown pale fades. 2 fingers, aluminum thunders. This is the last short poem, and it's called Eulogy for the Method. My grandmother explained to me how the window frame warped when the grand piano was forced through by men with biceps the size of railway cars, because the space between the front door and the stairs was too tight for Goliath's ingenious. She told me how as a little girl she beheld the rise and fall of an empire born on the back of a tortoise, how the children lined up in the streets, sticks like rifles on their shoulders, paraded as the creature, exhausted, hauled the dead weight into the sea. She told me how age had turned her poems to dust, the letters calcified, and how tiny cities sprung up on the remains of every period, oceans around the corpse of every comma, and if she listened closely, there was celebration. The apartment manager found her body, dressed in clothes once fine, ivory lace now an argyle of dust, and paisley stains of mildew. There was a note pinned to her favorite hat, the one that looked like an elephant's foot, which read, "I have witnessed a century of rot from the perspective of a worm." Cleaning out from under the antique Sheraton chaise after the funeral, I found her treasures, a brandy bottle, ticket stubs for a theater that never existed, a black pearl, 2 dead birds.